promise to help each other, celebrate the joys of life, and to console each other.
Hello. I am sorry, but I must interrupt this show.
Later, you know what it is. Hey, ham solo. It's time, baby. Low. Let's turn out we do. Hey.
They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. We say that you heard right. We say that you heard right. We say that you heard.
Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a whip. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you in red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you red fox. Got you chasing hot wheels like a matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blizzard. Got you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today.
Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go.
Promise to help each other, celebrate.
All right. We are here. We are ready to go to work. So sorry about being late, folks. Those of you that are here watching right now, but we are finally here to do the damn thing, to do the damn deed, and kick it with you guys and talk a little bit about gaming. Today, I have a phenomenal guest. Just so happens to be a game developer himself. Pretty cool dude so far from what it seems. I only talked to him for a couple minutes now, but he seems pretty cool. So game dev Micah, what is cracking? How are you doing today?
Hello.
Good to see you. Thanks for showing up on the show today, brother.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's been really cool watching the intro there. Reminds me a lot of gaming.
Yeah, man, I hope so. That's the whole point. Yeah, it's a big part of the channel is gaming. We talk about all kinds of stuff on this channel, but predominantly gaming. I mean, that's what we're all about. So I'm happy that you appreciated the intro. But brother, this is the first time I've ever met or talked to you before. And I mean, I've checked out your stuff. You were talking about the game just prior before to us hopping on here live just a little bit ago. You work a lot in Unreal Engine 5, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working on Unreal Engine 4 before that, of course, but in Unreal Engine 5 now, ever since its release or the pre-release of it. So very familiar with all the ins and outs of the wonderful engine we got.
No doubt. Awesome. So obviously that's the most recent engine for any of you guys that don't know already. That's the most recent engine from Unreal. Obviously they're on their 5th version right now. I don't know what point it is, but
they just released their yesterday 5.5. So that's the newest version of it. Yeah. And that brought with it skeletal meshes to Nanite, which is their big rendering LOD system. So we almost got everything as Nanite now. And I just released a plugin to bring our particle system, which is called Niagara, to let you do Nanite Niagara rendering too. So you can get a full Nanite system now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds pretty dope. So obviously you've worked with various engines, I'm assuming, probably. What are all of the different type of engines, including the different type of Unreals that you've worked with?
Oh, so for me, I started off with Duke Nukem 3D way back in the day. So that's 1996 era. And so that was very different from how we're doing things today. Basically, you would model the entire game in the engine out of each polygon and texture everything just right there. It's very basic and 2D-ish. And we've gone all the way from that to Quake, which really brought full 3D in. And so I did a bunch with Quake, and I worked with the original Counter-Strike team on Half-Life 1, the original Team Fortress team back on Quake as well. So and I got to play games after that, but I got to work with those teams back then. So then up through all the modern stuff for Battlefield and so on really changed engines again as well. Rather than having to make everything by hand, you could actually start using models and building a world in a large scale at like the Battlefield range. And so I got to play around with all that stuff up to today with Unity, and then to Unreal Engine. With Unity, had a ECS dots framework, and a lot, like 75% of the independent game market is really, I think these are a little bit old terms, but should be Unity. If Godot's taken a little piece of that, but then like 25% is maybe, or 20% is Unreal. So like the size of the amount of developers in games is just huge, and the difference between the two. But playing around with different things there. Haven't gone through very many proprietary engines besides Source with the Half-Life and Counter-Strike stuff. But there's a lot of different ways to do the same thing. So it's cool. I think Unreal's the perfect one right now, as in ease for access and reliability. You got a whole staff, just the enterprise grade of it, especially with all the change-ups that's been going on with Unity. Of course, independent or proprietary engines, people got their own kingdoms, and I don't know much about those.
No doubt. No, that makes sense. Obviously, like you're not going to know a ton about probably like Decima or something like that right off the top of your head, right? It's more of like a private engine, right? You got to pretty much get invited to use something like that.
So it's going to be written in C or C++ or something like that, and use the same type of calls, be doing the same tricks just under different names, so the same type of things. So
yeah, you just need to peek under the hood to see if you recognize certain things, right?
Programming languages with the same engines or whatever. You're just trying to figure out how to do the same stuff. So
exactly. So very nice. So obviously, yeah, just like you said, you've worked with many different type of engines and stuff right now. Now I got a few specific kind of questions just to kind of hint at you before I ask you about some of your personal projects that you're kind of working on. Okay. So the first thing I was going to ask you is kind of the big question that's been kind of on the mind lately, and plus, I told you prior to the show that I'm a pretty big Xbox fan, right? Okay. So I'm gonna ask you questions that are interesting in myself and hopefully in others. So as of recently, we've seen Pierre Hines come out and say Halo is moving away from the Slip Space engine and now going over to Unreal Engine 5. And as for somebody that's worked with an engine like yourself that, got to see, it get better throughout time with not just Unreal Engine 5, but previous Unreal Engine iterations as well. We've heard recently that South of Midnight is actually running off of Unreal Engine 4. Mm-hmm. So, previous Unreal Engines are still working just fine. Just the fifth one is just like the newest, prettiest nanite filled, engine. But what do you think about Halo, such a, well-known IP for kind of doing its own thing with its own stuff, now going into, it's almost like the business went from private to public. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you're right with the engine, right? And that gives them a great access to a whole bunch of more developers than having an internal proprietary engine. So, I mean, they're just going to have ability to develop faster because they're going to be able to get more resources. But at the same time, using Unreal Engine is giving them about 5,000 people. They're not all developers, but 5,000 people at Epic Games that are making that engine and are responsible for those modules and those systems, rather than having to do it internally now. Rather than having to do things like host their development internally, they might use the system that Unreal set up for them. I mean, I've got way too technical on that one. Hosting's a big deal. So I know a lot about hosting too. I did 25 years of data center, enterprise, small, medium business growth, and so on. So that was my in-between Counter-Strike and Duke Nukem timeframe versus today, about last 6 years, is all the internet. So using other staffs, especially when they're enterprise grade staffs like Epic's, takes that load off of Halo and lets Halo focus more on the story and also the individual pieces that can staff people more easily to tell that story and tell that artistic vision. So I think it's a great upgrade for them. The only reason it could ever be bad is if they had some sort of a financial framework set up with Epic that now they have to deal. Like you said, going private to public. When it's private, they got full control, but they also have to do everything. And that little bit of extra public is going to start, I guess could weigh in on the costs or has an attachment to them. But I obviously am a big Unreal believer. I think Epic's a cool team and met with them, and you have to bet on somebody. And I see them do great stuff for game developers, and then also they're providing a wonderful engine for really free to learn, free until you publish something. So I mean, the only thing really holding you back is yourself and just hitting that publish button and put it in a game out there. So versus having to build a whole engine. So if Halo had to build their whole engine, looking at the next game, how do we pioneer forward? How do we make the game space better? How do we make people want to buy our game?
You got to turn up the engine, right? Then you got to like put work into the engine compared to now where things are kind of set there.
So there's a transition,
just kind of player. It's like it's like a jungle gym, but you get to make it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and just like we were saying earlier, I was saying earlier, all the engines are just trying to do the same thing, just a little different way. So they probably looked at their proprietary engine and saw Lumen, which is a great bounce lighting solution that Epic is actively developing with staff, and are saying, how do we compete with that? How do we compete with that versus, well, let's just use it, because you're saying, how do we get to that visual edge? And you look at Nanite and how we do LOD transitions and popping. How do you compete with that without building your own Nanite system? Well, you just use Unreal Engine. So if those two things, high visual fidelity, which we know Halo wants, also high visual fidelity from lighting, not just polygon, but lighting they want, they have to compete with Unreal or just use it. So it's that 5% charge. Or if they negotiate something better, they probably did. So, or something like that. I don't know. I don't have that type of a sway, but they're the big name in gaming, right? So they have to have some good deals, and maybe we're going to see more Halo stuff in Fortnite too. I mean, why not?
No doubt. And as of recently, we actually seen that, or I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I seen that. Oh, shout out to Geek Life Mike says, much love. Shout out to Geek Life Mike with that $10 super chat. I appreciate that, brother.
Very cool.
Put that on the screen right there. But anyways, Call of Duty announced that, or not Call of Duty, but Microsoft more or less, or Xbox has announced that they are going to be putting more of their characters and stuff like that in Call of Duty, and I'm sure it's not just theirs, but they'll probably work third-party deals with other companies to put their character or whatnot into the game as well. Just kind of like a little bit of extra marketing before a game comes out, right?
Well, I mean, it's to keep. I think it's longevity of the game. Extra marketing, of course, but like maybe you play.
Very good point on the longevity. I forgot. You don't even think about that, right?
Oh, it's a weird thing because they get to sell skins, right? Or in Call of Duty, you get to sell loot boxes and do skins. That's how out of it I am. I'm assuming. Is that true?
Say that one more time.
Did you buy skins in Call of Duty?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can buy skins. You can earn skins through going through. I forget what they call it. It's like a treasure hunt kind of thing that they do, like in Zombies. I forget what they call it in particular. But they also have they also have ways of getting it, like prestiging and whatnot. So I mean, there's various ways of getting different kinds of skins in that game. But yeah, you can definitely buy. You can definitely buy them too.
Well, that's just it. I'm like a post buy skin guy. So like when I played Call of Duty, they didn't have that. It was all just about competition, like ladders and leagues.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Recently, Steam banned some guy. And he was like, "Oh, I'm banned from Counter-Strike. I'm banned from Counter-Strike." And I'm like, and he's like I thought he was esports or something, but really he was banned from trading skins on the marketplace because he had bought a skin for during a exploit or something like that, and he was a big skin trader. It's just. I mean, I only do competition. I only did tournaments. I only did lands. So it's just so funny, the whole skin culture now. And I know that just ages me, but I'm just like, what's competition about your skins? So it's wild. It's wild. Sorry about my rant.
Well, yeah. People like that. I mean, one of my boys, K Mega, dope dude. I really like K Mega. He's a good guy. He used to do a lot of podcasting on his own channel and stuff like that. But he always would say like, look good, fight good, or look good, play good, and like always talking about I need drip if I'm gonna play good, or else I'm just gonna feel like ass. And I'm just
There's
like the only time he'd allow himself to like kind of look regular is right when he gets started in a game. But after a little while, like he's like, yo, if I'm not getting something, he ain't got no problem making himself look good.
I think there's an arc to it. Like in the beginning, you don't know. Then you go to the point where you're getting it for competition value. Like maybe you're all the green things or all the black things, so you blend in with the terrain. And then you go to the far point where you just start to look as ridiculous as possible, just to clown
Right.
the people you're killing in the camp. So it's sort of like that arc to get there.
Yeah, there was a skin in Call of Duty not long ago where you could be Groot. You know Groot from
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So
Vin
from
Diesel.
yeah, from the Marvels game and movie and stuff like that. Guardians of the Galaxy, but yeah, you be that guy, and it was like hard to see and shoot him.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like everybody was buying
Odd Job and
because it was just like
man.
it was easy to dodge bullets with that character more seemingly, right?
Oh, yeah,
because it was harder
absolutely.
to see.
Well, I was thinking more like at the end of the arc where you're running around the full pink outfit or the full white outfit. I'm thinking like H1Z1 used to have like you could kill somebody and take their whatever they're wearing. So like I would go around in the free to play mode and I would just kill people when they came in, just collect their different items and floss myself out because I didn't pay for any of the add-ons. But then by killing people, I made my character out of them. So I very much care about the kill death ratio. So like the longer you can stay alive and the more people you can kill and not die or before you die, I love that part.
Nicolas Cage and went straight face off.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I like that. And blend in with teams. That was one of my favorite things to do was play any of the battle royales, mainly PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and play solo versus teams. Because teams are just so much more noise, and so it would be easier to kill 4 guys in a team rather than kill one-on-one sometimes. Because the one-on-one knows that nobody's his friend, where the team thinks somebody's his friend. I shouldn't shoot somebody. So that's fun stuff for me. I like to kill KDR, kill death ratio. Hell yeah.
That's evil.
Oh,
like I'm trying to take out the whole squad. I'm
running over teams in a car, man. Whoo, yeah.
I bet that feels good. Feels
good.
But all right, so I definitely want to ask you this question before we get into the topics, but let me ask you quickly because I know we only have a limited amount of time. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you worked on and whatnot. So like what is your kind of like your like pride and joy kind of stuff that you're working on?
Well, I like destruction. I think there's not been a lot of destruction in recent game dev. There's been some great stuff, like you said, Battlefield, Bad Company had some good stuff to it. Red Faction had some good stuff to it. But like
Red Faction, especially
buildings, not just the vehicles, right? And so the building stuff's what I sort of focused on. Is how do we move 100,000 bricks and then not let them just disappear because they're particles, but like let them be in the world. And so that's what I focused on. That's what I've done. So full building destruction. The problem is I haven't picked up the Superman IP or the Invincible IP or the Omni-Man stuff or Godzilla to really drive it with a story. So I've been working with different teams to really try and drive their stories with Nanite or drive their stories with destruction or movement, which has been cool. Because I mean, getting to get that out there because that competition part to me is like, yeah, let's elevate games, take them to that next level. Not just my game, but like everybody. Because then I'm going to get some experiences that I didn't create that I'm going to get to enjoy, and that's the fun part. So like procedural generation is fun because how do we do it with character is what I would say. So not just randomly put stuff somewhere, but like tell a story with it. So past the destruction part is then lean into character driven or procedural generation with character. And that's stuff where we'll like say, hey, how do we make an alien civilization develop itself on a different planet before we go there with our spaceship? Something that's maybe lacking from like what was that all these space exploration games where you have procedurally generated planets, but they're just the same thing every time you go there.
Oh, like No Man's Sky?
Yeah, No Man's Sky. That's what I was looking for. But just it's expensive to run forward the clock and let the civilization just sort of live out its life. Expensive meaning compute wise. You can't really do it. But how do we do that? Like how can we simulate that? How can we get that experience so that we can actually go out and find stuff that we can't predict? I think that would be one of the neat things we're doing right now with the metaverse and being able to do that in Fortnite, because it's just a low level entry to things that somebody's going to procedurally generate stuff, or you could just call all the creators who's procedurally generating stuff, and we can kind of just need to be able to go out there and look at it more easily. So that's like the innovation that's changing right now, is that people are able to make things and sell them for an amount of money, where say in the 1990s, level designers, which would be what that would be, like modders, didn't make any money off of it. So like working back in the day, nope. But today, when you work in Fortnite or Roblox or maybe even Minecraft, I haven't myself, those are very, low entry barriers to entry for people or kids or new developers, or someone who's never been a developer, doesn't want to be a developer, to drag and drop and make a video game and get paid for it, which is just, that's where we're at today. That's the metaverse. If I had to say it, is that freedom to create and get paid for it.
Yeah. All right. So I definitely want to see more of your game, which I did check out some of what you were working on with your destruction game, and you were driving a bus. If you don't mind, I could throw that up real quick.
Oh yeah, go right ahead. Anything on there.
Yeah.
I do have some YouTubes that talk about the technical specs of it and wander around in the engine a bit more. So
yeah. So please go on ahead and talk about your channel real quick, brothers. Sign yourself. Go on ahead.
Aggressive Mastery is the name of the channel. I've been on there for 6 years, and the idea is to master a subject, not necessarily in the most eloquent way, but a bit aggressively. And so that's learning all this stuff as a solo dev. Is I try to put as much as I could on the site as sort of devlogs. But a video takes a lot of time to edit as well. Oh, cool! You got the
yeah, brother. I got you. I got you.
Me with my long hair. Yeah, I chopped that off about 6 months ago or something like that. But yeah, this is the Matrix sample. So it's a sample that Houdini generated the buildings themselves, and then Unreal Engine provided this sample for free with the building exteriors. I procedurally filled every single building. There's about 600 of them here, with interiors, meaning like office equipment, floors, lighting, a central elevator shaft, and stairs, so you can actually navigate the buildings. And that's impressive. Level 80 retweeted that. That's a cool thing to do, because it's basically generating the whole world like they're doing the exteriors, only for the interiors. How do you align all the floors and make everything functional? Because I was going to have AI run inside the buildings too, so there has to be some spacing done and stuff like that. This is a super small building. I'm like saying, here's a building I need to fix because this thing's just too small to have stairs in, because I check all that stuff before I put them in there. So I'm sort of talking about that. There's one of the top of the roof units. But anyway, I'm doing this because I can destroy everything. So when I destroy a building, which is made of kit-bashed pieces, there's nothing inside of it. So I had to get stuff inside all the buildings, so that when I destroy the buildings, there's interiors to blow up too. And so that's what this is really showing the proof of concept for. And I use this at runtime, generating these interiors, so I can generate each building in like some small amount of time. It takes about 6 minutes with a good spacing between each of the buildings to do all 600. But these are just silly technical specs. It's done in a very inefficient way. We can make it a lot faster. But main point just being the density of destruction. so that you can fly through all these buildings, destroy any of these buildings all the way to the ground. The pieces that you see here, they'll exist forever. They're just put back into a instant static mesh, and so we just wake them back up from that GPU piece and cycle it. So the nice part, no level streaming, no hierarchical levels of detail. All these meshes or all these pieces of the world are always there. So if I flew up to the top of a building,
cars moving in the background and stuff like that, still traffic is held up.
Like, yep, that does work.
The world is still living and breathing, although that you're doing this
all leveled
sequence
on top
of events.
Yep, that was one of my goals, was to take their matrix sample, which has those cars and those people, and put destruction and interactions on top of it, and then have it all basically able to run on an Xbox or a PlayStation, which is what this is doing here. So that was the
So this is running on a console.
This is running on this is a 1080 Ti when I'm filming this.
So this is running on a console equivalent, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So like my PC now I develop on is a 4060 8 gig, and then I have a 4050 6 gig laptop that this all runs on at the same speeds at 1080p. You can Lumen's expensive and going stuff like that. So talking at 1080p, this all runs on console equivalent hardware. So yeah, and this could be made better, of course. So it's a lot of work.
It kind of, I mean, seeing that this is just like a demo and you showing off some stuff, it looks pretty damn cool. Like this is like this is the type of stuff like when I log in on like a Twitter and I'm scrolling and I see some shit like this, I'm like, who the fuck is cooking? Who is this?
Thank you.
So that's exactly how I like ran into your profile and whatnot. Like I was just like looking around. I was just like, dude, like especially now that we have a way to be able to communicate with so many different people. You get to realize that, you know, it's not just the big head, you know, like EA and all these other like sometimes you work with some of these types of people. Sometimes, you know, you just are, you know, kind of doing your own thing out of pure passion for it. And that's the kind of stuff that like makes me interested, because I make content and stuff like that out of my passion for video games. So seeing somebody that's willing to like put together a game, I'm like, I gotta go talk to them. And then you're working in one of the newest and most like, you know, wild engines out there right now, which is very public, that being Unreal Engine 5. So like I see you doing your thing, and I know sometimes the world and us folks don't think that other people are watching and seeing what we're doing, but
thank you.
We are. And I just wanted to go on ahead and let you know that, hey, yo, brother, I'm seeing what you're doing, and like if you keep on this path, you're gonna have something special.
Thank you, and I got to thank you very much. It's been a ridiculous amount of work, and yeah, not you can see my sons in the video too. Here, I have two sons, and it's just it's cool to get to be in the house with them while they're growing up, and get to see them so regularly.
That's special.
It really is. It's why I did this. I quit my corporate job because I was done with the IT department stuff. I wanted to go into software. You know, get out of physical hardware IT and do the final software creation stuff, and be around my kids, and then hopefully, you know, make this game here, make a ton of money off of it, so I can just, you know, casually be a game dev while I'm full-time a dad. So it's the dream I hope we all get to lead, and so I'm trying to lead it myself with my example for them. So, you know, and hopefully, you know, I just like there's so much opportunity right now for everyone to do this. So making levels, which this is really level in Unreal Engine as the game, if you ask me. So it's just the access to do this is really cool right now for people to be able to do it so easily. Of course, it took 6 years for me to learn all this junk. It's hard.
This is insane. Like this is obviously a template to what could be much more, right? Like everything is, as you can see, gray, right? You'd eventually take that time and whatnot and put color and all that other stuff, and you know maybe have some videos on some of those screens and stuff like that. But yeah, and I'm sure you know how to do it. But like as a game developer, like you're doing all of this stuff. What's it like asking like somebody, hey, like what you writing? Or something like that, or like do you have anything like what's it like finding somebody to have a story based on this type of world, or do you have your own story that
That's
you're adding to it yourself? Like where are you going at with that in this game, in something like this?
so that's the hard part about being a solo or indie game dev is that your scope creep or your scope is so crucial with the amount of time you physically have. And I would say I'm not that great at managing it, meaning that I'm a technical. I put all the time into technical to get the destruction stuff done, and I've cut the scope on the story because I initially said I didn't want to do a single player game because I didn't want to do all the animations and storytelling that comes with a good single player game and a story. I just want the destruction part. So, I'm thinking more like arcade game and then hope somebody sees it and be like, hey, I want this in my, this IP.
Like
And
somebody has to collaborate eventually.
I mean, and you know what, where I'm heading with this is pretty much I'm trying to shove all the knowledge into people's minds just so that the next game we get has this in it. Because to me, whenever I play a freaking game now and the buildings aren't this destructible, I'm just like, why? Why? I know, I know why. It's the hours and it doesn't have it. But like to me,
Especially
I'm
when
like,
you know you can do it, right?
Well, it feels so static or frozen in time. I'm just like, next year, but it really does come down then to your devs. So like you asked about Halo and converting. I think converting's good on the overall arching idea because you get more staff, but you have staff right now that knows that engine. And so I don't like that transition of losing those people or retraining those people. And that, that's the problem with a proprietary engine. And maybe that's normal in industry. I've been so blessed to just play around with Unity and Unreal for the last couple of years, which are just like pre-baked, pre-canned things. But that's the weird part about a big company with a lot of staff switching engines is how do you do that staff switch and keep that quality and that those artists in every function. So it's possible. They're just going to have to go through it.
All right. Well, we're going to have to. I mean, I got so many questions that I'd like to ask you, and I hope I can have you back on another time so we can dive more into like developing and also, continue to showcase and talk about the stuff that you got. Because I like promoting people when I feel like they're they're on the right side of history.
Oh,
right?
Hey, thank you.
So,
Here.
So I definitely like to continue talking to you and learning from you because you're not just pulling this shit out of your ass. You're saying what actually works and how it works and how it happens and stuff like that. So I find that type of knowledge very intriguing.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
But due to time restraints, we must move on to the topic so we can get through on talking about those, and I'll get a little list of questions, and and have you back on in a few weeks or whatnot whenever you're available to do so.
Sounds great. Thank you.
But as for the things, the first topic that I wanted to talk about.
That was so cool to see that video. It's been a while since I've been flying around. I really love flying around, destroying things in that game.
Dude, I want to do that too.
Yeah,
I could do that for so long. Just fly around, just screw around with stuff.
I think it's like a nice time to get a destruction game like that out. It just like,
that was the cool thing about GTA 3 when it first came out. Remember GTA 3 way back in the day? Like think about like all the kids and people that just spawned in the tank just to run over cars.
Oh yeah.
Just to watch the cars flip in the sky and do all these crazy physics that you've never seen in other games.
My son's playing Farm Simulator 2022 or something like that. We got it for free from Epic Games. And just to drive around the trucks. He's just driving the trucks around, stopping at the stop signs. He's 7 and like looking for traffic. And he's just been doing that the last couple of days, just driving around just because he gives him access.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's really what pulled us into gaming in the first place, right? It wasn't like stories, cool. gameplay is always kind of what's kind of king to me personally. Gameplay first, stories kind of second, and yada yada. But like we like we all got into gaming first and foremost because it was fun to just to screw around and do stuff that you can't really do in reality. Once then you figure out, oh yeah, this is kind of fun, and I understand the controls. Then it's like, all right, so what's the story to this now? Like now, why am I playing this game? I mean, it's fun and the loop and whatnot, but like
that makes sense.
Eventually,
like how we grew up, when we could accept things, and I mean, that's just it. I have so many games behind me from Sega and Nintendo, all the classics behind me, and retro gear. I want my son to play them, but then there's a story to it. To every single one, he's like,
right.
How does he live through the first couple
over here, brother?
Yeah. I saw your
all the old schools, man. I have as far back as, I mean, the NES, but like I got this Sega CD, 32X,
nice.
and Saturn, Super Nintendo, 3DO, stuff like that. So I mean, I love this hobby. I love it. But yeah, I absolutely hear what you're saying. Please continue. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, you're good. What were you looking at here next?
All right, so the next thing that we are looking at topic wise is the Bethesda or ZeniMax workers went on strike just the other day. I believe it was on the 13th. And they were hundreds of you. I'll just read the article from IGN right here by Wesley Yin Pools. Says hundreds of unionized ZeniMax workers go on strike today over an alleged lack of bargaining by parent company Microsoft. Staff who are members of ZeniMax Workers United CWA are on a one-day strike to call out Microsoft for an alleged lack of progress at the bargaining table over remote work, and for allegedly unilaterally outsourcing quality assurance work without bargaining with the union. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I already read this article just to kind of, just kind of vet what I was, going to put on my show. But I mean, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it right there is, them outsourcing some of the work and also lack of, figuring out good stuff for, remote workers and stuff like that. It continues to say in January 2023, ZeniMax Workers United CWA formed the first video game studio union at Microsoft, representing over 300 quality assurance workers in Maryland and Texas. Today's strike takes place at 4 ZeniMax locations across Maryland and Texas, with workers set to return to their desks tomorrow, November 14th, which is today.
Are the do you know if is the QA team or somebody just defined as QA, or is it the whole company? All the who gets involved in the union?
So I mean, it just kind of says like ZeniMax Workers in United CWA. So,
well, I mean, it was saying pardon me, over. I got like a stuffy nose. It feels like. Representing over 300 quality assurance workers in Maryland. So that's why I was wondering if it's like just a QA.
It seems like it. Yeah, it seems like this is more or less just like a QA issue over at Microsoft. So like the remote workers that are trying to make sure that the game's functional and whatnot. I mean, you obviously know all about the QA stuff and whatnot, but remote workers for that, and then also them figuring out they're getting not as much work because it's being outsourced to other places.
I wish I knew how to make money in games besides saying give your game away for free and then sell skins inside of it. It's hard for a lot of people to support that. And then once there's already a gameplay style like that, you got to compete with them or be that style, right? So I mean, it's weird out there. So like get the union together and hit them as hard as you can, because if it's Microsoft, oh guys, the Microsoft shoving Windows 11 on me, oh my gosh. So yeah, get what you get.
It says in a statement right here, a Microsoft spokesperson told IGN, "We respect our employees' rights to express their point of view as they have done today. We will continue to listen and address their concerns at the bargaining table." So it sounds like they acknowledged it, but acknowledging it and making something happen are two different things.
The strike comes hot
Right?
on the heels of Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer's insistent that the Xbox business has never been more healthy.
I mean, it sounds so political, right? It sounds like your basic, like what is it? What do they call that? C-SPAN. Like it just sounds like like I'm watching C-SPAN here and that kind of stuff. But
I feel like we're playing with that last one down there tied in, union striking. We've never been more healthy. Feels like a SimCity 2000 like news clip pops up on the screen or something. Just,
Yep. Oh yeah. We made all this money and got rid of so much people. So now funds have never been higher.
that's what
Obviously.
it is. That's what it is.
I mean, that's kind of the gist of it, and that's what that. That's your average American business, really.
I think it's
that's what they do.
I think there's a difference between investor-led and founder-led companies. A founder-led company will get themselves in much hotter water and and bankrupt it to get its goal done or to get its vision done or to do things towards that founder's morale. But investors are going to just go ahead and always look for the profit. So they might never, maybe they'll never take a big advantage or a big risk. That's what it is. That's why you're not seeing EA do, that's what I want to say earlier. That's why you're not seeing big studios do pioneering things, because it's a bit like pharmaceutical. They wait on small studios to get through the trials and prove that it's cool on their own dime, and then they buy the small studio and absorb the technology. So, I'm hoping that's me, right? But that's what's up, is that the Tim Sweeney said himself that solo or independent game developers are some of the most pioneering or useful devs out there, because they just work die-heartedly on things towards a passion, maybe towards their own detriment, like you were a little bit saying earlier too. And I'm a proof of it. So yeah, I think you'll find the risk out here rather than at the big studios. And we can just hope that, Minecraft is a good risk, and huge game got bought out by a big studio.
I mean, it's as simple as when you see like McDonald's buy a company or something like that. They're like, oh, that works. Well, we don't want to put that. We don't want to make that, but we're just going to buy you, and you're going to continue making that.
I think they bought Chipotle, or I don't know.
Exactly.
And that's bomb, right? So
they're like, hands off, keep doing what you're doing.
I didn't know if they founded it and just made it, or they just purchased it. So did they just purchase Chipotle?
Yeah, they purchased it because it was because Chipotle came out of Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Chipotle came out of Denver, Colorado, I think in like the 90s, I want to say.
Hey, I mean, if
you a hole in the wall off of like University or something like that. I used to live in Denver, so
it comes from the leadership. So how much that leadership or that vision is impressed upon the people and for how long it stays there versus it being changed by investors and not having the leader's vision. So Chipotle has it going.
Yeah, they're cooking. But but anyways, let's go on ahead and move on to the next topic that I had here, which is the GTA trilogy. We were talking about this a little bit ago, just talking about how GTA 3 was really cool, running around with the with the tank and the instant explosions on the car whenever
I modded a ton out of GTA 3 and put in different cars. That was one of the coolest things. You could change every car out, hunting the cars down, shooting the car to do my own little drag race in the middle of the street. So it was fun.
So you know all about this already. So GTA, the GTA trilogy from Rockstar finally fixes its lighting, and so like the trilogy when it came out, it was pretty rough. If you remember, not only like was it looking rough, but it like played rough and you could fall through the map, and it just didn't seem to come out the way that a lot of people thought, especially from a studio with this type of notoriety. We expected, yo, these games are like 20 years old almost. Like this should be like a no-brainer to put it down and make it like shimmer and shine.
Is that
But
where
still
they
have
re-released them? Is that where they converted them all to Unreal Engine?
That is a good question. Let me look that up real quick.
But I mean, I could see that probably there's like the struggle of changing it over and getting the stuff. There's like, all right, the game works, you can play it. People were probably just the devs were just that were doing the transition were probably just like, oh my god, it works. It looks about right. They didn't get the time to, oh, we got to get the lighting perfect. So that's rough. Lighting between engines is definitely something that is a subtlety you got to learn. I don't say I know it, but just that they're different between every engine. Lighting is
it looks like Unreal Engine 4.
Hey, there you go. All right. Yeah, so I mean, like they were their own engine, right? And so then they converted it over. So you can bring the models, but the story, the plot, they had to redo all that core framework and the timings of it, and the player controller and the feel that way. So I'm sure that I'm glad to see it's hit the full thing and got the right lights.
Yeah, it looks a lot better though now, which I played a little bit of it. I guess I can just play this video. I'm not sure if it'll do it much justice, and I don't think there's any music playing on here, but I'm gonna make sure I have it shut off. Who knows if my internet will let it work because because I'm running so much crap at once. So I don't know. But anyways, I mean, we kind of get the gist of this. So this game, it's only a one paragraph little article right here, just kind of telling you that it looks a lot better in all three of the games. I turned on GTA 3 and played it for a little while. It does. The ground actually has like some texture to it now, and driving the car seems very responsive compared to playing it way back in the day, where it kind of was like you pull the trigger, you hit, whatever the gas you got, whatever you have that set to. It sometimes would like lag a little bit, just a little,
They may have used some default cars in there and then had to try to make them control a little bit like they did, or rather than rebuild the car system. I'm not sure, but it's interesting what AI might do, but then also what we don't want to do. Like, I think we'd rather see these graphics in 4K and actually see what the model looked like where we couldn't have pixels before, versus running it through a chat GTP and having it look like a real car and a real actor or human while we play it. But it's neat that today is now that we get to be that snobbish, so to speak, or generate the backside that we can't see in a video and things like that. So it's going to be neat to see what we can do with retro games with preservation or extrapolation, future predicting or and rendering of stuff thanks to AI in these coming years.
I feel like doing that thing that you're talking about where you're like AIing, the way something looks to bring it to the new compared to making it look as pretty as it can be from what it was originally. I feel like that's only really necessary if pretty much the developers themselves is just like, this game is ugly as shit. Like our game, I feel like it's so old, it is kind of ugly, and I'd like it to look futuristic. So then I feel like that would make sense into that aspect. But for something that's like that pulls at our strings of nostalgia, something like a Mario, you see Grand Theft Auto right here, a God of War, all these different like great legacy games. Like, you want that old school ass feel. You just want it to make sense running on your television.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, this looks fantastic.
It
Like,
does.
it does not need to have any chat GPT thing going into it at all. All it needed was just to make sense running on a 2020 plus 2024, 2021, 2022 type of TV, to where it can utilize the HDR, it can utilize the higher FPS VRR and stuff like that.
Well,
Right?
when you're sitting back on your couch, which is nice to be able to with the controllers, my favorite way to play, of course, and relax. You don't need as tight of a visual either because you're a bit back from it. So if it is at 4K, it will look crisper, even though you don't need as many polygons to fill in the actual 4K difference between every pixel. So it shouldn't demand that much more, especially modern hardware. So
No doubt. Okay, so let me keep moving because I said
I'm
on
just
any of these
enjoying
subjects.
watching these videos too.
I know, man. It's just it brings you back, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I enjoy watching. That's why I had to throw it on yesterday once I heard it got improved, because I was pretty
Yeah.
disappointed. I was one of the folks that was pretty disappointed when it came out. I was just like, this isn't what I thought, because in hype of getting the trilogy, the trilogy, I was playing, the ones that I own already, because I got the old school ones, right? And I was just like, this
Oh
isn't.
yeah, I know what you mean. When you play on actual hardware, especially if you have a crisp hookup for it, it's hard to let anything slide on the remake.
Exactly, and that's kind of where I was at. I was just like, they said they said they remastered this, but they just look like they just
Oh, I don't want to look at any of like
it.
the AI remasters for like I've been seeing for like stuff like movies like Terminator 2, where they just basically run it in there and add some like it looks horrible. Like, it looks horrible. Uh, I don't want to look at that right now. I'm hoping that will get way better in a few years, because right now it's just so lame to destroy the actual. I mean, it's like, just go pull it from we still have the film that it was shot on. Go pull 4K, pull off the film. What the f are we doing?
Yeah, I've seen an AI upscaled. I think it was Terminator, and I was like, dude, the old one looks better.
Yeah.
I was like, man, the old one looks better. The lighting, like instead of it looking dark, it was looking blue,
Yep.
and it just didn't look quite right.
That's like my favorite movie, that and Blade Runner. So like, it's just like, leave it alone. No, don't do that to it.
Yeah, very passionate about those old school bangers right there. But as we're moving on, we're hitting Stalker 2. That's going to be coming out here next Wednesday, which
Hell
is
yeah.
very exciting. Shout out to I believe it's GSC. Yeah, GSC. Game World, I think, is what they're is the name of the studio. They've been working on this game for like 15 years.
They had very successful games earlier that they're keeping DLC for and all the other good stuff for. It was beautiful, complex scenery for sure.
Dude, I'm so happy they added controller support, because I don't like playing mouse and keyboard. I'm just not that guy. I'm not. I like sitting back on my couch,
It seems like
controller in
a
hand.
good game. I think you only need mouse and keyboard for competitive. I just can't do controller for competitive. Mostly it comes with aimbot too, but or I guess actually CAD work, which is what video game development can be when you're designing level stuff. But I think that one, like, I liked Fallout. I could see and I know it sort of doesn't play like Fallout, but like I liked Fallout with a controller because it was easy to aim.
Yeah, there's a lot more pressure on Stalker than there is in Fallout. A lot more.
Yeah.
You will die immediately in Stalker.
Did you play or do you play Escape from Tarkov?
No, I haven't. I know, but I know that game is tough too, though.
You want to talk about pressure? That's the pressure right there, baby. Peak of pressure.
But yeah, sure. You got other real players up in the game, and that sucker right there.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So yeah, you ain't gonna just run around everybody.
No, it's a beautiful spot in horror is Escape from Tarkov.
So yeah, in video benchmark Stalker 2, GeForce RTX 4090 with DLSS 3 hits 4K 120 plus at max settings.
And this is their internal engine, if I'm right. It's not like on because Unreal, Lumen's going to have some challenges doing that with how complex their scenes are. So I mean, their lighting. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with lighting. They have their own special sauce when it comes to lighting that makes their engine, because their engine can support it all and run really well. So I'm excited to see how it's done, because just you tune things to do exactly what you want, and that's your proprietary engine. Unreal is like as close as it can be to a generalized engine that then we have to cut around and carve up into what we need. So it's like a feast. This, and also seeing GTA 7 or 6 or whatever's coming out next,
6, yeah.
and seeing what they can do with the engine on these consoles and what they make or out of their engine. I'm not sure actually, but anyway, on Stalker, it's just these beautifully complex games. It's nice to see.
Stalker's Unreal Engine 5.
Oh, is it? They transferred.
Yeah.
Dude, or because I want to go look up if they've always been on that or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stalker 2 is Unreal Engine 5. I'm a double check.
Well, I'm thinking about Stalker 1.
Yeah, Stalker 2 is Unreal Engine 5. Stalker 1.
How cool, then. That's awesome. I'd love to see that's gonna be even better.
It looks like it says like X-ray engine.
Okay, because
open X-ray engine, I believe.
So cool.
Or just X-ray engine is the Stalker regular one, Shadow of Chernobyl.
Yeah, and that looked cool. That was so complex,
dude. It does look cool, and like if you've seen the update that they put on the consoles and PC, which added the controller support and stuff like that, it looks like, for as old as that game is, which it is old, it looks really nice, and just like the city and like the way the way it looks, it looks a little muddy, but it looks nice.
Is Metro Stalker Metro is the whole thing too, right? Or am I thinking of a different game? Is Metro a different company?
Yeah, Metro's different. But they're like of the same kind of like of very similar storytelling. I think Metro actually got their whole identity a little bit from Stalker.
Okay.
Because I think Stalker came first and then Metro came out.
Okay. Oh, then maybe I'm confusing those two. I always thought they were together because of they're kind of the same feel, right? Like they
are very similar, very grounded.
Then games. I haven't even seen that Stalker or much about Stalker 2 then, so I'm excited to see what they are putting together.
Yep, that comes out this coming Wednesday, and as I said right here, it has DLSS 3. And here are some of the projections for that, so you can see it. I'm gonna kind of make it a little bit bigger. So this is for what is this? For 4K. Okay. You're seeing the 4090 with DLSS going up to 123 FPS, but without it, big jump down to 52.
All the way down the stack. So I mean, it's just showing you what's going on. So what DLSS does is so like it's saying 4K. So the actual image is like 1080p, and it uses AI to upscale it to 4K.
Right.
And so if you turn off DLSS, then you're actually forcing the engine to render 4K, and that's why you're looking at the lower frame rates. So it's funny. I mean, but the question is, how does it look on screen? If the AI upscaling looks pixel for pixel the same as the 60 or 52 frame per second 4K, then we're doing it faster. And so that's the difference. To figure that out.
And from what I've heard about this game, it's pretty damn beautiful. I mean, Stalker in general is a beautiful game, and like the scenery Like they want you, like I said, very grounded type of situation in the woods and random bases and stuff like that with anomalies happening all over the place, crazy rabid dogs and shit like
Oh,
that.
it looks great. I was
It
looking at
does.
pictures of it.
It
I was,
does.
I was a
But it's
big.
going to be working on and like I said, this is just for 4K. If you're not looking to run 4K, which is
Oh, I
the
daily
hardest.
4K. It's the only thing I run. So if
Okay, so you particularly are looking forward to 4K.
it's the only thing I look at. The only reason I look at 1080p is compatibility for the most amount of gamers. So, like, but for me personally, yeah, 4K is where we're at, 120 hertz at least, right? So,
This is where I'm at right here, 1440, and this is where a lot of other gamers are as well. I got the 40. I mean, not the 40, the 3080. So I'm somewhere between probably the 4070 Ti and a 4070 Super, something like that.
just a flat 4080 or 3080 or 3080 Ti.
Just a flat 3080. So I'm probably somewhere between 4070 and Ti Super. But like, I'm thinking that if I want to go 1440p settings on there, I'm probably going to get somewhere around north, just a bit of 100 FPS.
With DLSS, right? Yeah.
Exactly. With DLSS, it'd be around 50 to 60 FPS without it.
And I mean, when your settings have a multiple effect too. So like if you turn down shadow distance and you gain 2 frames of native, it's going to gain you 4 frames with DLSS, most likely, type of a thing. I would guess, maybe not. The frames are probably still well, no, they increase frame rate. Okay, so yeah, it would probably still do that. Maybe, I don't know. That's some cool math to think about. Sorry.
Well, I've also got to take into effect that this is talking about DLSS 3. And if I have a 3080, I'm probably wanting to run like AMD FSR 2 or FSR 3, right? Because I don't have frame generation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love pixel perfect, and 60 frames is enough for me. So I take my 4060, which is it's like should be a little below your 3080, and I want things to run at 60 frames at 4K on that. Now that
There you go, right?
Yeah,
You got it. I mean, it says you got it, or okay, it didn't say it right here, but it'll be around 60 FPS probably.
And that's sweet.
Because down here it's like for 1440, it's
with the DLSS. Yeah,
with the DLSS it's 72, so you'll probably get near 60. I
like buffer. I like buffer. Buffer is best. So just that 72 instead of 60, it means you can drop it. You'll be able to take a little bit of a hit before you actually see it. So if you're on a 60 frames per second or 60 hertz monitor at 4K, which probably a lot of people are, or their connection to the monitor is only going to be maybe it's an HDMI 1 or something rather than 2 point whatever, you're not going to be able to see over 60 hertz. So I mean, if you can get 60 hertz at 4K to your TV, and for a lot of people, you're never going to see more than 60 frames. So having 72 means you could lose 10 or 12.9 frames, and you'll never notice. It's above what you can see, so it will keep you from tearing. So that's cool.
Yeah, tearing is not great. So let's go on ahead and just hit one more topic because I know you need to get going and whatnot, and I kind of
thank you,
and I want to respect your time and whatnot. So just to briefly go over, Xbox did say that they're working on a handheld device, but it's a long ways off. So I'm just gonna leave that there and just kind of just move on from that because there's not really a whole lot to say other than hopefully when they come out with it, it's pretty cool.
$99 for these little switches.
99, a little Switch,
a Switch Lite used on eBay.
Lite? Okay,
yeah, $99. You can play Fortnite on it, which is Unreal Engine 5.
Yes,
so go ahead and compete with the $99 Switch. I mean, I'd love to see it. I like Windows, and I'd like to have Steam Deck, right? That's more of a Windows OS, but Windows 11 is kind of weird. But I mean, it's not as weird as the prior Windows. It's not Windows Me. It's not Vista. Windows 11 is not that bad so far. I'm forced on it with my laptop. There's a lot of bad stuff about it. Never mind. The option menu when you're clicking on stuff. What the fuck were they thinking, man? No, so just what is going on there? Never going back.
Doing their thing, man. They're getting you though.
It's so bad.
All right. Well, speaking of Microsoft, despite buying Activision Blizzard, and this is from IGN, Wesley Yin Pool again says, despite buying Activision Blizzard for $69 billion, and then spending all the money that they did on Bethesda, a year or two prior to that. Microsoft definitely wants to be in the market for more video game acquisitions. And my question to you, based off the title of this article, because it kind of just reveals what it's about. What do you kind of think of the world that we live in now, where it's kind of like three companies for the most part? I mean, obviously PC, but that's kind of its like separate ocean. But three main companies, and they're just kind of.
You're saying Sony, Nintendo, whatever, Microsoft.
However. Yeah. As for console game.
Well, so I mean, what's go on? Just making sure I got the three. So I think PC is definitely and phones, mobile, make up that makes up, and then maybe VR, just because we gotta mention it, make up the gaming environment.
Yeah, so that's like the whole circle, right?
So I mean, VR you could cut out just because it's really struggling. Phones you can't. Phones are so huge you can't.
No, phones are probably bigger than consoles.
Yeah,
like probably much bigger. Actually,
yeah. So
everywhere in the world.
When you're talking about gaming, they're probably not just meaning game. They probably mean they should be acquiring phone games too, which I don't even like. But Fortnite, Epic, that's a phone game. It's just
Call of Duty. That's a phone game too.
Oh, interesting. I know some other. I know there are big, huge, bigger than anything we think of games on phones. So I mean, so yeah, don't just think about those three consoles. They're definitely not the whole market. Even if you wanted to compete with PCs, I'll go ahead and just say there that you got to make all the games on PCs.
Right.
So hopefully they don't go anywhere.
You kind of need a PC if you're gonna make software.
But Fortnite, Fortnite Islands, which are games, I think you can make them. I know you can make some of them, but I eventually you'll be able to do the full editor. I bet in a phone itself or on a console, flying around, placing things. So I mean that might remove the need to make some content. I'm sure there's plenty of games. Dreams on PS4 or something like that is a VR beautiful world 3D crafter. That's just something it's not replicated anywhere else. That's a tool that doesn't exist anywhere else at that level. So I mean, these things, there's some cool stuff out there. We need to expose more. So that'd be cool to see Dreams bought by freaking Microsoft and actually put out everywhere rather than dying on the PS3 or PS4 or whatever like it is now. So if you're going to ask about diversification of the monopolies, is that what you were thinking, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I'm wondering how you kind of feel about this, just kind of being a monopoly era for video games, because like back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, there was a lot of versatility there, right? There was a lot of opportunity, and a lot of companies squandered it.
I mean, so you had to. So the first engines, Quake, Unreal Engine, and several others licensed out their software, so you had to pay a licensing fee or pay a large upfront fee. It's been eased up, so it's like you make over $1 million a year, then you pay them a fee, and how the engines have changed. Where before, if you didn't pay him the fee, you could make a mod for it, but you couldn't charge anybody for it. It'd be a mod for like Half-Life or Quake, but not you couldn't make any revenue off it. Where now you can make revenue off of it. So I don't like the monopolization of it, because then you can have those investors, if they become investor-led companies, just drive towards revenue, which I think is what Unity's been subject to with their management changes and just like not having a real leader there saying this is what we're going to be, but trying to manage towards investor expectations. And so you get jerked around a whole bunch. And that's the problem with the monopolization of it, is if say we have 7 or 18, well, that's not getting too monopolized. I'm thinking about all the different phone developers, but really there's only a couple phone developers anyway. So that everything is kind of getting monopolized, is that they can keep the 30% that most of them charge to sell software on there. Epic is, and so I'm a believer in Epic and Tim Sweeney and the 5% that he charges for his software, and then the 12% that he loops in with his marketplace, and trying to get that out on all these platforms to get away from the platform's 30%. He seems to be the only one legally battling to try to get this reduction, like in costs for development, from 30% costs to 12% costs. Or you know, or less, depending on what type of deals and how long you want to look at time frame wise. So a lot of opportunity for individuals. There's a lot of monopolization going on. Most of the big guys are asking for 30% to sell on their platforms. Tim's one of the biggest, smallest platforms with Epic, and Fortnite is even a smaller cost, but then you don't know how much you're getting paid, what your percentages are. But great possibilities to earn because you got these big things, but then you don't know what they're going to do. So Tim and Epic can change too. There's still websites, I guess. You can still sell your stuff on the old World Wide Web before Google goes out of business and people can't search for it. And I mean, that's what's happening, right? Google's like search is starting to suck. You know, who has a website as their primary way of marketing themselves? You got to be on social medias, and social medias are dying. So what's the big platform that hopefully use their marketing and pitch, like Epic or Sony or Xbox, to their captured audiences? So very, very interesting times. Games, I think, have fully matured, and we're now going to see what big business games is where we're at now.
Do you, and this is a little, it's on topic, but it's kind of like segmented. Do you feel that, seeing that, you know, times have changed, things are getting a little bit, or not a little bit, but things are getting more expensive to make and whatnot?
Oh yeah.
Do you find there to be any kind of moment to where we kind of catch up to the speed that we were at prior Xbox One, PS4 era, to where things are coming out much more frequently from the same developer? Or is it going to be where, I mean, because I'm not saying we have a shortage of games at all, because we don't.
DLC,
but we do have like
DLC
development that lasts forever.
Mm-hmm. That's
for certain games.
That's the incentive. That's how it's incentivized. If you look at the just the business aspect of things, and how customers want to be entertained. So I mean, you don't want to go back to the same story every day. You want something new to happen in the story. You want something to expand, or else you'll find a new story, which is that new expansion. And so forever, like Tarkov is a great example. It's, I believe, still in beta release, and I've spent 5 years playing the damn thing, and I paid like $100 or $200 for it. So how could it still be a beta release when I paid money for it and I've already worn myself out of playing it for 5 years? But that's because that way I know, oh, they're going to fix something, they're going to change something, rather than this is what it is, or they're going to add a new level. And so it's the drag out. So the only reason that you would, it seems the only reason you would cancel a game is because it's not going to drag out. People don't want to keep playing it. It's dying, or it didn't get off the ground enough to even make that determination of. Otherwise, you're going to try and keep people there, sell them skins. Then once they have a skin library of $1,000, how are you going to sell them to go play Deadlock? They got to play Counter-Strike. Oh, because we're going to make Counter-Strike 2 or we're going to make Counter-Strike 5. And we're going to have people playing all different Counter-Strikes. And then Deadlock's a new game, and your skins have been gone for a while. Like, how do you get people out of that sunken investment of their time and downloadable content? So having a developer make a bunch of games it's hard to fund that, like, money wise, because they got to have a return on investment. And the easy way to get that once you have a successful game is to sell the successful game, expand the successful game, keep getting people talking about it, rather than go through this whole ridiculous effort to make a story and an engine that's unique and pioneer in the space and go through and market it against yourself, because you're going to be competing against your last game too. So, yeah. So it's the indie game dev space that you got to look at. And then how do you, fund guys like me to keep working it? I don't, it's weird. I think a lot of it gets captured with Fortnite, Minecraft, and Roblox, where that's your space to create, and then they take that money. That's why Roblox is $80 billion or whatever it is, or $120 billion.
Yeah, it's like Microsoft with Call of Duty. They're taking all that Call of Duty money and like, all right, so what do we want to invest in next? like how do we want to treat this studio next based off of what we just got from our biggest,
how are you going to keep those customers paying? How are you going to keep those customers paying? Is it the next Call of Duty? Does everything transfer over to it? Then yeah, have them pay you another $60 or $70 as long as all their bought stuff transfers over. And that's how it should be doing. Like the new Call of Duty has all the same skins updated or whatever it is. So you keep dragging the same people with.
You carry it over. Well, that's what they were talking about doing, is carrying over your old skins from the previous game. That's one of the reasons they made the Call of Duty HQ, so you can carry stuff over from one game to another, which that Call of Duty HQ is rough right now. I'll be honest, but I personally don't love it. But I see what they're trying to do, and it makes sense. I see the vision, and I like the vision. I just don't like how it works right now. Which, I mean, it's fair. I mean, as a customer, I think that's what we're supposed to do. Is we're supposed to be like, hey, this ain't quite where it is, but I like the vision.
Right? You have to. You're the QA for it for sure.
So yeah,
and Fortnite is just skin. And I think Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, those things are kind of like skins first, or character modifications first, and then gameplay second. Like, so you load up your character and all your modifications, and you go into these different experiences. And so where with Call of Duty wasn't built that way. They weren't expecting to move you into another experience with all that stuff. And so now it sounds like that that Call of Duty HQ is where they're trying to build that gumwork or that framework orchestration layer to move the customizations around. So it's kind of like they're saying, oh yeah, we need to do that. So they'll eventually iron it all out, but good. Because then you might get your customizations in other Call of Duty titles. Maybe we can take some stuff back to older titles too. That would be fun. Go play the retro games with your current skins and modifications and guns. Someday with AI, sure.
No doubt. So the last question I'm gonna ask before we get out of here, because I'm
sounds good.
Pushing the time at this point, but
I'm having a ton of fun. Thank you for this. This has been great.
Well, I'm happy you are. I'm happy you don't feel like I'm just kind of wasting your time or anything like that. So the last thing I wanted to ask is, with this weird kind of statement that, or the statement that we're definitely not privy to because of, the era that we grew up in and stuff like that, Microsoft is definitely talking about, not only are they planning on doing this with the acquisitions and getting more developers and, more companies within their umbrella, they're also talking about continuing with being a third-party developer, essentially a third-party developer, but they have their own console, right? And it kind of reminds me a lot of what Microsoft. Right. Okay, what are you following me?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, everything's made on PC anyway. So it's basic. It's all running. I mean, from my knowledge, it's all running the same. When you use Unreal, you're running Unreal on your Xbox or your PlayStation or ye old Nintendo Switch over there. The Unreal Engine kernel itself is being ran, and you're using calls from that. So for them being a co-developer, it's kind of like saying, hey, I'm an Unreal Engine dev. It works on all these different consoles. So, I mean, once you know that or you're skilled up in that, them outsourcing those developers, being a studio that's making games for Sony, making games for PC or for phones is not really a big deal when you're using Unreal. Same with Unity. So I assume with any other engines they're doing, the calls to the OS have been standardized. The APIs have to be able to do it. So, I mean,
how do you feel about that as a strategy for a business, though, to like kind of put whatever you make as a publisher, but also as a console manufacturer everywhere? So you're able to now play a Gears on.
It's a marketing thing. It's all I mean, so marketing is huge. I did my bachelor's degree and a minor in marketing. So like, how do you want to roll out your marketing? What's your marketing plan? How do you think it's going to actually give you a return on your investment? That's in somebody's head over there. They're paying money on. It could be right or it could be wrong. How they actually implement it can fail or succeed. What I'm mainly meaning that, you know, if you're going to say, I want to do a console only exclusive on Xbox so I can try and get people to buy Xboxes because this game's going to be that cool, or keep people on it. I mean, I used to just buy both consoles and I'm the king, right? You know, so like,
Right.
woo! Or I mean, those people that buy both consoles and think that way are like, screw you. I'm just going to wait for it to come out to the other console I have because it's not that big of a deal. Or they know which one's better and they're going to make sure they get it. You know, there's all these other things you got to think about. So, I mean, like, is the game that good? Is the story that good? Are you going to commit to that much marketing? Or are you just trying to blast it out because you're going to get the best bang for your buck when it's new and people are talking about it and things are going? So it's just how they're marketing. I want to do their marketing stuff. Same thing for exclusives. To win people over to your platform, if you feel like your platform has won all the people over. So like if it's Halo, then all the people that play Halo are probably already Xbox owners. How do you get more people to buy Halo then? Sell it on a Sony, because I mean, on the PlayStation, because nobody on PlayStation's playing Halo if they're Sony elitists. Woo, more sales, more fans, more marketing, more people are seeing Halo movies. You know, it's a bigger piece. So whatever their chief marketing officer wants to put his butt in hot water for, go for it, buddy, or her. You know, right on. You know, that's.
Do you personally think that they can continue to sell or manufacture hardware while doing this said strategy?
Oh, sure. I mean,
I'm right there with you, actually, honestly. I think they totally can, just like you can still sell Surface.
Haven't they been selling
hardware
consoles at a loss before? I mean, it's not necessarily the console that they're making money off of. It's the freaking 30% from the games or the 30% of it. So put a 3080 in the console, or put a 3090 in the consoles, and eat $500 a console, and send them to your people that buy the most games or something as part of like your specialty club. So it's a $500 cost on these people that are paying thousands of dollars a month or whatever the heck it is. You know, their marketing. Do whatever you need to do to like give some real advantages. You know, play the game. I think so. You know, go for it. I think go for it. If you love Microsoft's game and you think this may keep people from making that update to Microsoft's game or making the sequel, that sucks. It's up to them to staff it or prioritize it. So, you know, that could be, you know, I could see that. But I don't know anything about that.
For me, it's just like I put a lot of money in this ecosystem already. And if they're going to continue to make hardware for said ecosystem, that because I mean, I'm still
they need to transfer that. Like backwards compatibility has always been a pain in the butt. It's 2024. You got a full computer. It's an Xbox. Why the heck when you upgrade to the next piece of hardware? I mean, sure that hopefully all that stuff just comes over. There's a ton of stuff the dev would have to do if they change something in the engine or whatever. And then you have all the games that need to be modified by all these devs. That's never happening. So that means Xbox needs to take care of their crap, compartmentalize it so that presents the same way to all these games and all these customizations, and let it follow the customer. So that's again on their marketing and technology and staff to realize that their captured audience and this treasure trove of virtual NFTs they've all bought are what is the golden thing that matters, and how they keep those people buying more and happy and they're swimming around on new hardware is, yeah. But if they can do it on Sony, then you open up the whole other part of the market. Do it on through Microsoft Market or wherever the hell it is on PC. Then you get the PC market. Do it on the phone, you get the phone market. So I think cutting out markets at this point, it seems weird to not have those customers and say, you need to buy my hardware. But whatever.
And that's right where we'll end it. Whatever, because that's where that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm just like, are you guys still making hardware? Yeah, I don't
love
care.
to see it. I mean, Intel's making video cards. I want to play with one.
as long as I don't feel like all the stuff I bought and the stuff that I'm going to continue to buy isn't just falling into a bottomless trash can. As long as it's going towards something into the future.
That's why I did stop playing consoles once they started charging a monthly service fee for online.
Yeah.
Because what that says to me is that's a big worry about when the online goes down. Even though I'll have the console and the discs, I won't be able to play my game because I'll need to be online. Hopefully they fix it or whatever the hell it is. But I said I'm done. I'm just PC because I don't want that heartbreak. So like I play old games. I've been playing games for 30 years or whatever the hell it is. So like if I have my Warcraft 2 CD, I have a Windows 1995 CD and a DOS CD. I can pull those things together on old hardware and it will run and play for as long as I want it to. There's great ways to do it a lot easier on a website now, thank goodness. But there's a lot of things that can't be done on a website just quite yet. Hopefully we get to that point. Because, these games are fun stories. We need to keep them around. Preservation is important.
It sure is. And brother, with that being said, thank you a million for being here today. It was an excellent show. I had a good time. I learned a lot. Shout out to the folks checking us out here on YouTube this afternoon. Shout out to the 200 plus people apparently watching us over on Twitter. I'm never sure about those numbers. I always feel like that's wild and weird. But hey, if they're gonna show me that I'm getting decent numbers, then I'll take it. So
work it, man. Absolutely, amen.
It is what it is. But man, I've enjoyed having you on here, listening to you talk about your passion, your projects, how you feel about things, and how they're kind of coming to fruition and whatnot. But before you get out of here, please let me and everybody else know where they can find you and whatnot. While you're doing that, I'm actually going to throw your channel up right here, Aggressive Mastery, so everybody can see it. But go on ahead and let everybody know where they can find you other than just on your channel here on YouTube.
If you look for Game Dev Micah anywhere, Micah Berninghausen, anywhere, I mean, like Discord, hit me up in there too. Twitter, formerly known as X or whatever it is. Blue Sky as well. I'm on there as Game Dev Micah, and LinkedIn is Micah Berninghausen. And I think Aggressive Mastery on or Game Dev Micah for some Fortnite specific things on YouTube's a wonderful place as well. We had some really weird times, but thank you so much for having me on. And hopefully Twitter turns around.
No doubt. Thanks everybody for coming and checking out the show. Thank you, Game Dev Micah. I appreciate having you here. I'll definitely be having you back on as soon as we can get it done. I'd love to do that again because this has been a really good, fun time on a Thursday. But make sure you guys check us out tomorrow. We're going to be having another show called Bullsitting. Me, Cozy, Matt Likes Games. Locust isn't going to be on the show tomorrow because he's dealing with civil unrest in his country right now because he lives in Mozambique and they are not happy right now. So he's out there protesting and doing the Lord's work, trying to, he's just trying to live. So, so I feel bad. I hope he stays safe. I feel bad for everything that's going on over there in Africa right now for him, and hopefully he can make it back to next Monday's show. But this is your boy Ham Solo signing out for TSWS Gaming here on TSWS Gaming. This specific show being called Xbox versus the Gamer. So thanks everybody for watching. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern for Bullson. Have a wonderful night, y'all.
Ciao.
Peace out.